I'm Ari Goldstein, Senior Public Programs Producer at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, and I'm delighted to welcome you to today's behind the scenes chat with Dr. Ruth Westheimer and Tovah Feldshuh. Today's conversation is coming on the heels of opening night of Tovah Feldshuh in Becoming Dr. Ruth, our new production at the museum, which we're very excited about and which you'll hear all about today. I'll hand things off now to New York Jewish Week reporter Julia Gergely to get us started.
Thanks for that introduction, Ari. I also want to thank the Museum of Jewish Heritage for partnering with us on this program, Jeff Simmons for bringing the idea to us, Becky Phillips from 70 Faces Media, and Thea Weiseltier from the New York Jewish Week for helping prepare, promote, and run this Zoom today. And before we get started, I want to mention that we'll be having a question and answer portion at the end of our conversation. So please write your questions in the Q&A box at any point. And please specify who the question is for, either Tovah or Dr. Ruth, and I'll get to as many as I can towards the end of our time here. So as Ari said, my name is Julia Gergely, and I am a reporter for the New York Jewish Week. I'm delighted to be joining these remarkable women, Tovah Feldshuh and Dr. Ruth Westheimer, who are here to talk about the process of becoming Dr. Ruth, both as an actress and as the real thing. Dr. Ruth Westheimer may be best known for having pioneered talking explicitly about sex on radio and television, but it turns out that is only a small part of her rich and diversified life. Born in Germany in 1928, Dr. Westheimer was sent to Switzerland at the age of 10 to escape the Holocaust, which was the last time she saw her immediate family. At the age of 17, she then went to Palestine, where she joined the Haganah, the Israeli freedom fighters, was trained to be a sniper, and was seriously injured in a bomb blast. She later moved to Paris to study at the Sorbonne, and in 1956 arrived in the US, where she obtained her master's degree and doctorate of education. She is the author of 46 books, the executive producer of 5 documentaries, and the subject of a Hulu documentary titled Ask Dr. Ruth. Tovah Feldshuh is an actress whose career has spanned 5 decades. In 1975, she originated the role of Yentl on Broadway. She's played Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir in Golda's Balcony, which is the longest running one-woman play in Broadway history. And she has also played Leora Helmsley and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Tovah, I chose your most Jewish roles. I hope that's okay.
Go for it. There's no dearth of choice in that arena.
Tovah has also appeared on TV in the miniseries Holocaust as defense attorney Danielle Melnick on Law and Order, as Naomi Bunch, the Jewish mother in Rachel Bloom's musical comedy Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and as Deanna Monroe on The Walking Dead.
A Christian, just putting that in.
True. The last one.
The one.
She is also the recent author of a memoir titled Lilyville, Mother, Daughter, and Other Roles I Played. So welcome to you both. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Wait, you forgot something. Tovah's latest book, which you mentioned, is wonderful, except with the roles that she played, I'm not in it. She has to write a second volume and get me in, number 1. Number 2, when you say Ruth Westheimer, you have to say Ruth K. Westheimer. Carola, very important. I don't forget where I come from. Frankfurt am Main. Go ahead.
Okay. So last night was the opening of the one-woman show Becoming Dr. Ruth. Tovah, you were wearing your dress from the performance. How did it go? It opened at the Museum of Jewish Heritage. It's off-Broadway. So how did it feel to finally get to opening the night?
Well, first of all, we're very grateful. Let me just do this in the spirit of Ruth. This dress was made for me by the designer Bevin Dillon, Bevin Dillon, on the Upper West Side. She is brilliant. She is wonderful. Give credit.
Wait 1 second, Tovah. How come he didn't make a dress for me yet? As everybody knows, I love freebies.
Tomorrow,
okay.
Tomorrow. The opening was thrilling, and it was thrilling. We live in gratitude that we got an opening. At 6:30 last night, our opening night party was, let me say, altered to protect everybody because of this spike in COVID. And we had a beautiful reception in the lobby that was shorter and just boxed food where nobody shared any food, and people lined up to meet the Queen. She was in her throne, and there was this long line in the lobby to meet Dr. Ruth. It was a thrill. Look, I'm born on 90th and Lexington. I'm brought up in this city. I went to Sarah Lawrence and briefly to Columbia, and my parents graduated from NYU and Harvard. We're part of this city. So to play your hometown, you know, I've played cities all over the world, including London, Sydney, Melbourne. To play your hometown, there's nothing like it. And the heat of the New York audiences, there's no parallel. So here we were talking about, you know, I was inhabiting Ruth's story in the museum where Ruth is on the board, a museum that is also dedicated to the memory of the Holocaust. And Ruth does not present her backstory so prominently as she meets people. She's there to do her tikkun. She's there to heal. She's there to help. She's there to create the possibility of intimacy and orgasm for every walking human being on this earth. So she doesn't say, hello, I'm Ruth Westheimer. I was on a kinder transport. Mm-hmm. So the golden box of this play that Mark St. Germain so brilliantly did was he gives us her history and where she came from and how she propelled her life to become an international sex therapist, probably the most famous international sex therapist. So that for the audience, the message is, if Ruth K. Westheimer can do this, think what you can do. Think what you can do.
Dr. Ruth, how does it feel to see your life and your career brought to the stage in a show like this?
So first of all, Tovah last night was brilliant. And I'm sitting there at the edge of my seat and I don't miss a word. And I'm watching her and that it is like fantastic to see her being Dr. Ruth K. Westheimer, to see her dance, to see her describing my love affairs, to see her describing my marriages. My children were there, my grandchildren were there. They were all riveted to their seats watching Tovah. And I am so glad that the Jewish Week is doing this talk for all of you. And Tovah, for the whole weekend, you have to smile because you are brilliant. I just read one review and it says brilliant.
Thank you.
So are you guys longtime friends? How did you meet and what did it take to prepare for the show?
Okay, we are longtime friends. However, I came to see all of her performances, even the Queen of Mean. And usually Tovah used to lift me up and hug me. I don't permit that anymore. At the age of 93 and a half, I don't want to be picked up by a woman. I want to be picked up by a man. But I have been to Tovah's daughter's wedding. I danced at the wedding, right? And I was probably the last one to leave at the wedding.
Right.
So I know about Tovah's career. I know about her husband being a brilliant lawyer. And I did sit next to him at a performance in the Hamptons. And he's very supportive. Too bad that Fred Westheimer is not alive anymore, because Fred Westheimer would have loved Tovah playing Dr. Ruth, talking about all of those terminologies that I use. I sometimes think when she says orgasm, I listen very carefully. I sometimes think that I am the actress.
We're having a great time. Also, I have a great advantage to play an historic figure that's alive, and that is so generous. So I, as Ruth would tell you, I went to visit her at least every Wednesday when I was first offered the role in the North Coast Rep in Solana, California, when COVID was full blown. And this artistic director, David Ellenstein, called me and said, I have a play that I want you to do. If you won't do it, I won't do it. But if you come, I will film you. And we had 15 days of rehearsal, which is not much, 2 weeks. Isolated, the director, the stage manager, myself, and my dresser, 4 people in an empty theater. And then they streamed it. And we did the script practically verbatim as written. Then I took it to Scott Schwartz and Mark St. Germain, and we started to change the script. And then for this run, this version of this play is not published, and it is magnificent. Mark St. Germain rewrote the beginning, rewrote the end, allowed certain cuts, and allowed the entry of new stories, particularly one about Joel in Princeton, which is hilarious. So I'm very excited because I think the play works. I think it works better than ever, even though it's been around for a while. And it did have a prior New York production with a wonderful actress in it.
Wait a moment, Tovah. You have to tell everybody that we still have some performances. I will be there. I'll do question and answers with you. Tell them the dates that it's now still on, and then tell them all that Dr. Ruth K. Westheimer is working to get Tovah to off-Broadway. No question. Anybody who is listening to us right now, Tovah will explain to you what we need in order to go to off-Broadway, and I'm going with her.
Thank you very much. We have 14 performances left, starting tomorrow night, Saturday, Chai for Life, December 18th. And we have 7 performances a week. Here we go. Saturday night at 7, Sunday afternoon at 2, Monday night at 7, Tuesday afternoon at 2, Wednesday night at 7, and Thursday at 2 and 7. And on 2 of those days, the museum is completely open. You can come, particularly on Thursday, come have lunch, see an exhibit, and go to a play. It's a very unique experience. Dr. Ruth will be with us for a Q&A after the performance this coming Wednesday, December 22nd, and closing performance January 2nd, which will also be streamed.
And tell them the food in the cafeteria on the 2nd floor is wonderful. Last night after the performance, I took a sandwich home and I ate it with relish. It was delicious. And tell them all it's kosher.
Yes, it's kosher. And the theater is newly renovated and refurbished. It's probably the most beautiful off-Broadway house I've ever played. And that is saying a lot because I've spent 48 years on the Broadway stage and of course on the off-Broadway stage as well. Believe it or not, it would take close to $1 million to transfer us uptown. Why? Let me explain why. We have the props, we have the set, we have the costume, we have the actress, we have the rights. I have the rights. We have the living genius. We have Dr. Ruth. We have the director. Everything is in a box. But to transfer it, we have to pay for rent new lighting equipment, and we have to have, believe it or not, $500,000 for publicity to make sure we survive in these challenging times. That's where the money is. But believe me, I know how to make this work and how to make this run. The first thing that happens when the box office starts to flag is they come to the actor and said, would you take minimum? I'm telling you now, if we start to flag, I'll take minimum, okay? And I'll still do my shows a week. You don't have to pay me a fortune. It's a brilliant story, and it's not just a story for Jews. It's a story about possibility, about what you can do with your life if you so desire and if you have the relentless vision.
So Tovah,
I tell you, when Tovah says not just for Jews, last night, the president of Ben Gurion University was there. I just got awarded an honorary doctorate from Ben Gurion University. And not only that, in the play, Tovah portrays beautifully how upset I was in Switzerland not to be able to go to high school. And now I established a scholarship, but I don't need any more money. It's done at Ben Gurion University, and there will be some Bedouin girls, Tovah, that will get the fellowship, the scholarship, because up until recently, Bedouin girls, like me in Switzerland, couldn't go to school after 4 years of basic schooling. They couldn't go to high school. Hallelujah! Now they can get a scholarship, Dr. Ruth K. Westheimer scholarship in psychology at Ben Gurion University, and some Bedouin girls already applying for it. Makes me very happy.
How about a human being who doesn't have a high school degree, doesn't have a baccalaureate, but has her master's and a doctorate? How many people have you met like that? I've never met anybody before Dr. Ruth. So talk about having vision and convincing people to believe in you. I mean, anything anything is possible. I say we go to off-Broadway and we go make the fortune it takes to just transfer just a little bit uptown to the smallest Broadway house, maybe the Helen Hayes or the Booth, in the future life of this play. We need to keep the play going.
Wait. You didn't tell them. Whoever is instrumental in getting Tovah to off-Broadway, I promise, good sex for the rest of your life. So tell the Jewish Week,
Okay.
anybody who goes with Tovah, and I follow, she's the lead. I could never do what she does by heart. It's my story, but I couldn't do what she does. I'm going with her. And listen, Jewish Week, in the Jewish tradition, sex is never a sin. It's an obligation between a husband and a wife on Friday night. And you will, anybody who helps to get Tovah off Broadway, superb orgasms for the rest of your lives. I've never said that before. I always said before, good sex. Now I'm saying superb orgasm. Tovah,
Okay.
say superb orgasm.
Superb orgasm.
That's good.
So Dr. Ruth, as Tovah said earlier, in the past, you haven't always shared a lot about your background. It's mostly been your sex therapy and advice. So I'm curious to know what's changed in the last few years that has made you want to share your story and how it feels to be able to have it on stage like this.
So when Marc Saint-Germain approached me first, I said, no, enough, I already talk enough. Then he came to meet me and I liked him. And then Deborah Jo Rapp came to see me. But nobody, Tovah, like you, nobody danced with me. They knew that I don't like to dance with women except you. So then I decided, once I decided that Marc Saint-Germain will do it, I read some of his other works, and he's brilliant. He did a play. That's how I met him. He did a play, Freud's Last Session. And the actor, Tovah Martin, told Marc, you have to meet Dr. Ruth Westheimer. You don't know her story. So he came to meet me. I brought my autobiography, some other books, and the rest is history. And I am very happy the way it came out. And last night, Tovah, we have to tell the Jewish Week again. Last night you were brilliant, and you're going to be brilliant on off-Broadway. Write it down, people. My prophecy, off-Broadway for Tovah, and I'm going with her.
Excellent. I see in the chat that my friend Michael Isaacson, who's superb, incidentally, a superb musician, has asked how I can get my voice up there. Pierre, what time of the move is coming? Well, I'm a little behind. Pierre.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I need to pack these things myself. And that's how I do it, Michael. I'm just resting today. It's my day off. So.
Now, Tovah, you know that I've been working with Pierre, my Minister of Communication, for 35 years now. He wanted to retire. No such thing. Now he's going with Tovah to off-Broadway. With
great.
my being the Minister of Communication. But I want to say something about the museum. I'm on the board of directors of the museum. The play is dedicated to people like me who lost their entire families during the Holocaust. And it's also dedicated to my family who did not survive, which makes me very happy. Last night, Tovah, the many people of the board were there, and Patty Kenner was there, and the director of the museum, Jack Klieger, was there, Jeff Tabak was there, Bruce Ratner, the president of the museum, was there, and the president of Ben Gurion University, who a few weeks ago gave me on Zoom the honorary doctorate because I couldn't go to Israel, and he was there. Everybody loves it. I predict, Tovah, that once on off-Broadway, you are going to go to Europe with a play after the virus, and you are going to go to Israel, and I go with you.
Thank you. That would be great. I actually met a wonderful friend of Ruth's from Buenos Aires yesterday, and he said, what I like to do, what I like to do in Argentina. Sí, yo hablo español, yo puedo hablar español, yo puedo hablar muy bien, pero de hacer el acento de Dr. Ruth, yo no sé qué puedo hacer.
You know what he told me? Raúl Galopi is my good friend.
Yes.
With his husband, Michael Berra. He told me that you speak fluent Spanish.
I do, but I would have to speak fluent Spanish as you. You know, hola, Pierre, ¿cómo está?
So maybe it'll go to Israel and you can talk Hebrew. Then I'll go with you.
Okay, you'll have to tutor me, but that'd be great. That'd be great. Maybe we could do it at the English-speaking theater. Anyway, the point is to keep it going in New York, and the golden box of her journey is amazing. And my sweet friend, Michael Isaacson, again, a great composer, has just said he'd like to invest. So Michael, you get an A+ blue ribbon for being the first. Thank you.
That's why we're here. So Tovah, you recently wrote a memoir that came out this year titled Lilyville, Mother, Daughter, and All the Roles I Played. And you open your memoir with the opinions your mother has on all the different roles throughout your career.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to know what you think she would say of this role, and when and how you decided to write a book, and when you decided that you had that in you.
Well, first of all, when it came to Golda Meir, my mother said, Tovah, she was from the Bronx. Tovah, I rate your parts by how you looked. Dolly Levi was a 10, Golda Meir, 0. So that was her opinion. She loved Ruth, so I'm sure that I would get a high mark for portraying such an incredible and virtuous story. Somebody heard me on an NPR interview and called my manager and said, I think Tovah Feldshuh has a writer's voice. I'd like her to write a book. And they came here to meet with me and they said, we'd like a memoir. I said, well, I'm just a Broadway entity. I'm really a Broadway baby. So I don't feel I'm internationally famous enough to write all about me and my life. So I thought I would write my life as seen through my mother's eyes, who was born in 1911 on a dining room table in the Bronx, and write my mother's life as seen through my eyes. We were 40 years apart, so we didn't have a generation gap. We had a generation chasm. And she gave me a lot of tough love. She had what appeared to be very conditional love when I was a child, which was difficult for me. My father was a Viennese bloom. You know, he was from a Viennese family, even though he's an American boy, very expressive, very loving, very, I love you because you breathe kind of a fellow. And my mother was, you know, I'd come home from Sarah Lawrence and my father would say, Lily, she's here. And my mother would say, what's she wearing? Is she wearing a nice outfit? You know, it was really difficult. So I wrote this book about our lives and how two trees, which were on separate ends of an acre of land, finally bowered together as mother and daughter. She was an incredibly strong woman, and she was a quiet woman until my father died. And my father died, and she just bloomed like the lily she was and started to speak out about her feelings and not just write beautiful letters about the details of her life.
I want to add something. Tovah, I met her mother a couple of times. Tovah and her husband took excellent care of that mother. Even when she was not well, they took her to plays. They took her to plays and to dinners where they thought that she would enjoy. And she deserves a few golden stars for that one.
Thank you. I think for all of us, be good to your parents. They gave you your life. And when they leave their bodies, you want to be able to hold your head up and say, I did the best I could by these human beings. And my relationship with my mother is complete. She even died in her bed at over 103, as David, my brother, and I promised her she would. She wouldn't die in hospital. So I loved her. She was very funny. I took her to see Miss Saigon, and she said, isn't the point of theater not to have the helicopter? So that was that one. And then I have size A acorn, so I wear a great bra as I play Dr. Ruth because she's got bigger bosoms than I do. And my mother's size C and my daughter's size C. So my daughter's getting off a plane from La Coruña, Spain. My mother takes a look at my daughter. She takes a look at me. She takes a look at herself and she says, well, I guess it skips a generation. Regarding the size of my bosom. She was very, very funny.
At your daughter Amanda's wedding, was wonderful, and I danced.
You danced with the samba bands. You were great. I had a Brazilian samba band come as a surprise at 12 midnight. And we
I
also,
was there.
you were there. You were there. I loved it.
So I want to ask you guys, this is the New York Jewish Week. I want to ask, you guys are both New Yorkers at this point in your lives. Tovah, you lived in New York your whole life. Dr. Ruth, you came in 1956. What do you love most about living in New York? And what does the city give you that you want to give back?
Okay, Tovah first.
It has cultural excellence and incredible excitement. It is a place where with no money, you can learn a tremendous amount. We love our house in Quogue, which is in the Hamptons. We spent the whole pandemic there. Once I had COVID last February. We were there from last March of 2020 right through January of this year. And then I've been well for a long time. In all events, even though I love nature and we live overlooking a lake around the park, we overlook Central Park. New York offers variety and the availability of learning at every corner, whether it's being invited to a free dress rehearsal at the Metropolitan Opera or just going to the Metropolitan Museum with double masks. I love that. I also feel that the values of New York City are very Jewish because they value excellence. The sad thing about theater, let us say in New York City, since there are 110 things to watch a night, is that if it's lovely, it don't last. If it ain't an A in New York, it's an F. That's the thing. You have to distinguish yourself. You can't just be excellent, you have to be original. And what does that mean? So I love the competitive spirit of cultural events vying for one another. And I love to participate as a New Yorker in its riches. I also happen to vote for the Oscars. So it's very exciting when COVID did not exist, going with all the voters to this screening and that and meeting all the stars. Now everything is virtual, but eventually the world will right itself. It's what Ruth Bader Ginsburg says. It's not the bald eagle that's a symbol of America. Judicially, it's the pendulum. And eventually the pendulum, hopefully, will right itself in this country.
And look what is happening in New York with me. That only could have happened in New York because New Yorkers accept accents. And that accent of mine is going with me. Not only that, here is something brand new for the Jewish Week. The people in Holland just sent 500 tulips, bulbs, to Fort Tryon Park, where I'm on the board, and they will be planted. They are short and vibrant, like me, and I can look at Fort Tryon Park from my window. I see the Hudson, and the set that they built is wonderful. You see the George Washington Bridge, and you actually see cars going on the bridge and the subway. Amazing. So all of you, when that happens in the spring at Fort Tryon Park, Tovah and I will be there. Tulips, short and vibrant, like Tovah and me.
You know, it also should be noted, I've been with Ruth a lot. At 93 and a half, and it should only continue. I don't want to give it any cane to her. No cane, no walker, nothing. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's from being a great athlete and years in the swimming pool, years on the ski slope. I'm already in PT and I could be her daughter, making sure that I balance. You know, they make you stand on one foot, then they make you close your eyes and stand on one foot. And let me tell you.
And my last night, not only my daughter, son-in-law, Ari, my grandson with his wife, Hannah, my son, Leora was not there because she's studying for a law degree at New York University Law School. My son, Joel, professor at University of Ottawa came. My daughter-in-law, Barbara, professor at Carleton in Ottawa. My granddaughter, Michal, with her boyfriend, Isaac. My grandson, Ben, with some friends. Everybody loved Tovah last night. I hope they don't love her more than they love me.
No, they don't.
I find out tonight at dinner.
I'm your echo. Go ahead, Julia.
So I think I'm going to move into question and answer portion. So again, for the audience, If you have a question, just type it in the Q&A box and I'll try and get to your question in the time we have. This question is for Tovah from one of our audience members. How did you approach playing such a well-known person that you also know so well? Did it differ from your usual approach that you take to either playing a fictional character or someone you haven't met before?
Well, playing an historic character versus a fictional character is very different because the research is very different. What's great about an historic character, whether it's Golda Meir, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was alive and whom I spent time with as well, or Ruth Westheimer, who's a friend and is vibrant and in full health. I was with the Supreme Court Justice when she was already quietly sick and fighting for her life. The approach for any historic character is the same. You have to dig and excavate the details of the person so that you're accurate, excellent, effortless. Effortless is the key. Then you have to go below the traits to find out what's the universal about the character. What is the universal about Katharine Hepburn? It's not just this accent, you see. It's many, many other things. It has to do with her Yankee attitude, her erect spine, the way she would wear platform heels in front of Louis B. Mayer to get what she wanted so she could look down on him. And what does that mean? Was a woman's right? You know what? I've played a lot of women who felt it was their right to have a big tikkun and to have a piece of this planet that they can be put their mark on and contribute to. Golda never expected to be prime minister. When she came to the prime minister's residence, she said, "What do I need this for?" She had a Midwestern accent. Anyway, Ruth Bader Ginsburg looked meek, but she had a brain that was her phallus, if you will. She had a brain that was so brilliant and it was so brilliant and heavy that she led with her head. Ruth and Leona, but Ruth stands up pin straight. She's like my PT. I used to have lower back pain, probably from hunching over. No more, no more. And that's from Ruth Westheimer. That's her personal gift to me. But what about Ruth is universal? That's what has to be asked, because otherwise Sadie and Shlomo and Marie Christensen in the audience won't be running their tape, and they need to run their story. They need to have recognition of certain parts of Ruth in their own human tape to be engaged and to have a stake in it. That's my job.
Nice.
And also Ruth, when I'm with her, she'll come out with some lines that are so astonishing, they go right in the play. And that is by the grace of Mark St. Germain. Not every playwright says that. Playwrights can say to you, "I'm not going to change a word, go take a hike." This guy is so decent and so willing to update the piece to my great benefit. We changed the beginning, we changed the end, we made big changes. But Ruth wrote a line, "My parents, they gave me life twice. Once when they gave birth to me, and once when they sent me to safety in Switzerland." That line wasn't in the play. Another line, I haven't written it yet, but another line that needs to be in a play is, I never got my high school diploma. I never got my baccalaureate, but I got my master's. And then I got my doctorate. Go figure, something like
And
that.
a few honorary doctorates.
And a few honorary
The
doctorates.
latest from Ben Gurion University.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyway, so my approach is very diligent. It's an honor. When I just played Anthony Hopkins' wife, Sir Anthony Hopkins. Anne Hathaway was our daughter. It was a fictional character, and I made it up. As Stella Adler would say, if you don't have it in your lexicon, make it up. I just, that's what I do. Danielle Melnick, in Law and Order, I based on my father, Sidney, who was a litigator. And when there isn't a coincidence, you want to find coincidence between you and the character. Ruth skis, I ski. Ruth swims, I swim. We're both athletic. She's from Germany, I'm from Austria. We're both Ashkenazi. She's Orthodox. My father was from an Orthodox home. My mother was not. But then I choose to be with my father when she's with her father walking to synagogue with the extra coins in the pocket. So it's called substitution. And, he should only live till 120. I don't know what would happen to me if Andy suffered what Fred suffered. And at such a young age, and he died. You gave him a birthday party February 8th, and he was 70 years old, and he would die April 3rd. Or am I making this up? Is he 70 years old in 69? In 1997. Yeah.
Right.
So the other thing that Ruth has really taught me, which I have used in my life, because I've never experienced such spillage from a character onto my life. You know, what am I going to do? Take Leona Helmsley into my life? I have a mess. So with Ruth, she sees the glass half full, not just by this is the way she is, she's some Pollyanna. It's by choice. It's by choice. When I say last night, we are so grateful to have had an opening. We had a big opening night, a beautiful reception in the lobby, and the whole party was scrapped on the second floor with the Prosecco and the wine, and the scrapped at 6:30 at half hour. And I just said, be grateful, be grateful, be grateful.
Wait, you have to tell them that Jack Kliege, I told him whatever you decide is fine with me, and everybody got cake to take home.
And
They
Ruth and I
didn't-
got sandwiches. We got sandwiches.
I got sandwich, and not only that, you and I got roses.
We did get
Beautiful
roses.
pink roses.
Yep, beautiful. Do you have yours? Did you get yours home? They took yours home, I hope. Yeah. Go ahead, Julie.
Dr. Ruth, this question is also from the audience for you. And seeing your life and your career in this play, what advice do you have for future generations of Jewish women, Jewish New Yorkers, for their lives or for making the most out of their careers?
Okay. Number one, to stand up to be counted, not to concentrate on the misery. Everybody has some problems. Not to constantly concentrate on how difficult our lives are right now, but to have that optimism. Let's make the best of it. This will be over. Be careful. I'm not saying take chances, but to keep that hope and to keep the gratitude for being alive and being able, like Tovah says in the play, for Tikkun Olam. Jewish week, Tikkun Olam, means to repair the world. I did not know that I'm doing repairing the world by teaching people to have good sex, but that's what I'm doing. And that's my advice. And all of you, today is Friday, all of you who have a partner tonight, to engage in good sex.
And Dr. Ruth, are you working on anything new or anything exciting right now?
Yes, I'm constantly working. But first of all, right now, I have to get Tovah to off-Broadway. That's number one. Number two, the book Heavenly Sex. Right now, thank you, Heavenly Sex. And that is coming out. It's out by New York University Press. It's now a classic, and it's coming out in German, translated and published by the museum, by the Jewish Museum in Vienna. And you hear Tovah in Vienna, in Austria.
Yep.
And that's happening right now soon. And who knows what else? I have all kinds of projects in my little head coming up.
Tovah, do you have anything else in the works?
Yes, we're writing a television series of Lilyville. It has been optioned by a Hollywood production company called Out East, headed by Courtney Haslett, the most marvelous human being. And we're working on that. But I, too, my immediate concern is to get this play off Broadway. I also will be doing 6 concerts from March 5th through 11th in Florida with Tovah is Leona. And that's very exciting. It's good to be hired for concerts. And I'll be a speaker for the UJA in Dayton, Ohio, I think May 15th, something like that. So
And
I'll be
I'll
raising
watch
some
you,
funds.
and I'll watch you on Zoom.
Thank you very, very much. We have family Zoom Shabbats. We are on our 88th Zoom Shabbat tonight at 6:30, where the whole family gathers on Zoom. I send out 118 emails, and let's say we have 20 to 30 screens every Friday night to say blessings, catch up, and it's wonderful. It's a way I can make sure to see my children, my brother up at Cornell. It's a wonderful thing, and I put it all together myself, that I produce.
Bravo.
Dr. Ruth, I think this is going to be our last question. An audience member wants to know how your philosophy of seeing the glass half full coincides with what's happening with the pandemic.
What about the pandemic?
How your philosophy of always seeing the glass half full and always working as hard as you can coincides with what's happening in the last 2 years.
All right, what happens with that pandemic is very sad, that we have to acknowledge it.
Mhm.
It's very sad. On the other hand, look what happens. Central Synagogue, I listen to them every Friday night, even so I belong to 2 other congregations, but they are on Zoom, so that's what I do. I listen and I'm grateful of anybody who uses Zoom, this fantastic way of us being able to communicate. And Tovah, tell the last word. How can they help to get you on off-Broadway?
They should go on TovahFeldshuh.com, my website, and it says contact us. It'll go right to my Gmail, and I will and talk to me about investing. Obviously, my idea is not only that you should invest, but I should get you your money back. Gold's Balcony capitalized for $1.3 million, and it made $7 million. So
Wait.
I'm a good bet. I'm a good
Tell-
business bet.
Tell that to Patty Kenner. Call
I-
her right now. Tell her to watch it.
I will. I would like to start an umbrella. We probably need 4 umbrellas of $250,000. I'd like to start one under my name with our investors, just like with Gold's Balcony. Some people gave 5,000, some 10, and it accumulated. And we need just 4 packages. We need those, and then a few philanthropists, and we can go. We can go.
Wait,
Then we have to time
question.
it.
I have a question for Tovah. Tovah, the set is fabulous. Can that set go with you to off-Broadway?
That's the whole point. The set is ready to go. The actor, the costume, all the elements are done. We just have to put it in a space that is that wide that I need. I am not repacing this show in some kind of little basement thing. The other thing is we need a off-Broadway theater without stairs. I don't want my patrons, some of them are older, to have to go up the stairs to see me. I want an entrance where you can enter the theater with 2 or 3 stairs, be in the lobby and go into the theater.
Like the museum. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting, because these days, when I go someplace, I also ask, is there an elevator? So very interesting, practical advice.
Right.
Hallelujah, everybody. We are going to off-Broadway. 1, 2, 3, everybody say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay, I believe that's all the time we have today. I want to thank you both for your time here, and to our audience members for joining us today to hear from these celebrated women. I also want to thank the Museum of Jewish Heritage for partnering with the New York Jewish Week on this event. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good
Julie, I'm just going to jump in to add my
Shalom.
thanks and say that a recording of today's conversation will be available later on the museum's YouTube channel and in your inboxes. And you can get tickets to see Tovah Feldshuh and Becoming Dr. Ruth at the link in the Zoom chat. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, Ari. Have a
Shalom.
good day. Shabbat shalom.
Ari. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Everybody, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye, everyone.